Hey guys, I'm back with the EGR tube and valve. In my previous video, I showed you the tube and how clogged it was, and I just want to show you real quick now how I cleaned it. And the soot and the carbon buildup that was in this tube was basically just right on the edge of the tube, maybe an inch and a half in. So what I did was I took a tiny little screwdriver, this one right here, and I cleaned out all the hard stuff, took it all out as much as I could. I broke it apart. Then I took air and I shot air in from both sides a few times, cleaned it out nice. And then what I did was I took some brake cleaner, okay? And the reason why I use brake cleaner is because it breaks down oil, it breaks down grease very nicely, and it evaporates very quickly. Okay, and it doesn't leave any residue. Okay, so I sprayed it into one end, and I kept my thumb. I can't show you guys because I'm holding my phone, but I held my thumb on the one side, and I basically filled this tube with fluid, and I shook it back and forth a few times to try and loosen up any other carbon buildup that was inside the rest of the tube, right? So I did that a couple of times, and then I poured it out, okay? I didn't pour it out in my driveway. Pour it out in a cup or something and get rid of it later, okay? And then, once that was all done, I cleaned out the outside of the tube with a towel and some brake cleaner, rag, and also I used a wire brush too, okay? And then, once I was done cleaning it, also don't forget, make sure to clean really nice where the gasket goes, okay? I mean, at this point, it's probably a good idea to get a couple of gaskets and replace the gaskets, but mine were totally fine, so I'm going to reuse them. I just cleaned them up really well. And also what I did was I pulled this nut apart, and I loaded the threads with some anti-seize, just to kind of make it easier on myself for the next time that I have to clean this, so it's a little bit easier to come apart. Okay, and that's basically how I cleaned this tube, and as you can see, it came out very nice. Okay, then what I did for the actual EGR valve is I wanted to test it. Now, normally it's probably a good idea to just replace the EGR valve with a new one while you have it out, but I strongly believe that factory parts, in most cases, will outlast the aftermarket stuff that you buy at AutoZone or Pep Boys or Napa or anywhere else. Where Napa has pretty good parts, but in most cases, the factory parts will outlast the aftermarket stuff that you buy, probably by double. So I wanted to make sure that my EGR valve was functioning properly, and basically what I did was I took my wire brush, I cleaned everything as much as I could, and I blew some air through all the openings. And what I did was, now what you can do to test it, this is what I did. I filled this opening here with brake fluid, with brake cleaner, I'm sorry. Okay, now as you can see, the brake cleaner is staying there, it's not leaking out. So what that tells me is that I still have a good seal, right? So the fluid's not going anywhere. Now what you want to do is you want to take a screwdriver, and there's a diaphragm here. You push on this diaphragm and the liquid should pour out on the other side, right? So I'm going to do that. Hold on. Okay. So I pushed the diaphragm, as you can see, all the liquid leaked out the other end. Right, so that tells me two things. Number one, my diaphragm is functioning correctly, it's moving up and down, and it's still sealing correctly too. Nothing's getting through. So I'm gonna reuse my original EGR valve. I cleaned it, I lubed it, and should be pretty good. Everything looks good. So I'm gonna replace all the vacuum lines, put everything back together, and we should be good to go. So that's it for this one, guys. Take care and hope it helps someone. Bye-bye.